everyone. Welcome to episode 226 of Manage the Wild. I'm your host, Nick Madsen. This is a name I never thought I would mention in wildlife, but after reading this article, I guess I have to change my mind. What do mule deer and George Soros have in common? Most people would say not a lot. And if you're not in politics, then you would have no idea of the name other than he's a billionaire. But if you're in politics, it's controversial depending on what side you're on, whether you're agree with his politics or not. And because it's wildlife, I never thought I'd have to deal with it. I mean, there are some politics, but George Soros is way out there. So why are we talking about it? I came across this article uh, in Forbes magazine. It's Ballot Box Biology's hostile takeover of state wildlife agencies. And I was like, what? What does that even mean? And as you go through this article, it's so fascinating, the things that he talks about in this article. And I'm going to put the link on there on the podcast as well as YouTube. And you've got to go through his article. He just does such a great job in bringing something to light that I wasn't aware of. Now, you may agree or disagree with it, and I'm not here to say whether you should or shouldn't, but in this article, he argues that politics is going to change wildlife management forever. And you're already saying, well, it's already been changed, so there's not much you can do there. But the fact is what he's presenting is completely different from the way it's been done before. So there are these referendums that states are allowed to use, that anyone within the state who is a resident can bring forth a referendum, and if it gets enough votes and signatures, then it goes and it gets voted on. And that is how Colorado is getting wolves in to the state of Colorado. The Colorado State Fish and Wildlife Department, they spent millions of dollars studying whether they should bring wolves in or not. And they looked at how wolves would affect wildlife and cattle and all those different things, because it's a multiple use landscape. They looked at all those things, and ultimately they decided that they didn't think that it would be necessary or appropriate to bring wolves in at this time. Well, they used a backdoor referendum to bring in wolves, and it's called direct democracy. And what they do is there was a bunch of money that came in from outside, and this is where George Soros comes into play. George Soros's $19 billion Open Society Foundation spent money along with people within Denver and Boulder, um, and they got enough signatures that it was able to pass. Now, the interesting thing about this is Denver and Boulder will never be affected by wolves. They don't see wolves in being that much of an issue in that area. The areas where they are putting the wolves is going to have a huge impact, not only on wildlife, but on the ag department as well. But they brought in out of state special interest groups. They brought in a lot of money, and then they got signatures in an area that wouldn't be impacted. And here's the other thing is state law doesn't allow Colorado Parks and Wildlife to comment on the referendum. Because somebody brought it forth, they are not allowed to comment whether they agree, disagree, or even talk about what it's going to do to the wildlife. They had no say. And so they couldn't respond. And so, because they weren't responding, people basically thought that it was okay. Now, because they have successfully brought in wolves, the same group is now pushing to outlaw hunting mountain lions within the state of Colorado. In this article, it goes on to talk about how there is an estimated 230,000 mule deer that kill that are killed each year by mountain lions, and that the state of Colorado is believed to have the largest population of mountain lions. Now, there is another referendum going up in which they are, it's Initiative 91, and it's been recently introduced to ban mountain lion and other hunting. This will be interesting. I'm just curious what your guys' take on this, because now, whether you agree with the science or not of wildlife management, we can talk about that. But now it doesn't even matter whether science comes into play. If you get enough signatures within the state, you can pass a law. And 26 states currently allow this. So, wildlife management, relying on biologists and wildlife managers and researchers and all of those that who are aware of what's going on and use science to help manage responsibly, are now being effectively removed from wildlife management. It's a really interesting article. I think you guys should go ahead, get on there, and tell me what you think, whether you agree with this or not. I know that for a long time they've been looking for ways around this: black bear management, cougar management, and is have they found it? Is this the way to do it? And do you think it's fair that all the signatures can be, not have to be, but can be collected in one part of the state, which would largely not be affected? I don't know. I mean, it's a little uncomfortable because now you're just going by the swing of the public. So, what if it comes back the other way and all the people from outside bring in a lot of money and they talk about all the damage that wolves are doing, and then they just come back in and change it, and then they kill all the wolves? Because you are swinging in a pendulum based upon public opinion, and it will swing one way and you'll be anti something, and then it'll swing the other way and you'll just want to kill it all. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of huge pendulum swings one way or the other. I like things fairly even, providing consistency. And I think that depending on the political noise that's going on, is you can have huge shifts from one way or another. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Super interesting article. All right, you guys, tell me what you think. Let me know. Have a great day. Stay wild.